Have you ever woken up in the morning and before you even open your eyes, felt a crushing weight on your chest? It's not just fatigue or the remnants of a restless sleep. It's a deeper, more insidious feeling, one that lingers in your bones, a constant hum in the back of your mind. The world seems to move in fast forward while you stand still, watching it all unfold around you. It's as if everything in your life is happening without you, and you're just going through the motions, trying to catch up. The day starts, and so does the cycle. You try to breathe, but the air feels thinner than usual. The demands start piling up, one after another, unrelenting. Messages ping on your phone, emails flood your inbox, to-do lists grow longer, and the people around you, colleagues, friends, family, seem to want something from you at every turn. And in the midst of it all, you can't help but wonder, is this all there is? You push forward. You tell yourself to get up, get moving, just like everyone else. It's the same script you've been following for years. You wake up, you work, you achieve, you push, and then you collapse into bed, only to repeat it the next day. You start to feel like a machine, moving from task to task with no real sense of purpose. The to-dos begin to blur together. You forget to ask why you're doing all of this in the first place. But even as you run, there's a nagging feeling at the back of your mind, a question that refuses to leave. What if I stopped? What if, for just a moment, I didn't answer the calls, didn't check the messages, didn't jump into another project? What if I just paused and allowed myself to feel the weight of all the things I've been avoiding? The pressure, the expectations, the constant drive to achieve. What would happen if I stopped pretending to be fine? This constant need to keep going, to keep achieving, to keep proving, to keep up, is suffocating. And yet, it's something you're told to do every day. It's how society works. It's how your family, your friends, and even you measure success. You can't stop. You can't let up. The world doesn't pause, so why should you? But here's the truth that no one tells you. That pressure, it's not real. The constant demand for productivity, for success, for perfection, it's all a facade, a trap. And the more you fall into it, the more it takes from you. The deeper you go into the cycle, the harder it becomes to climb out. Because every time you feel like you're about to stop, there's a voice in your head that says, keep going. You're not doing enough. You're falling behind. It's a never-ending race. You get to a finish line only to find another one waiting for you in the distance. And the worst part, no one tells you to stop. No one tells you that it's okay to just be, to take a step back, to rest. So, you keep moving. But moving for what? For whom? What happens when you've run so far, so fast, that you forget where you're headed? When all you've done is run from one task to another, from one goal to the next, but never paused long enough to ask yourself, why? You feel tired, not just physically, mentally, spiritually. Your soul begins to wear thin, and the effort to keep up feels like carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. You've given everything, your time, your energy, your thoughts, your love, to a never-ending cycle of tasks and to-dos. But when you look around, you realize that you've lost yourself somewhere in the process. It's easy to forget that there's more to life than the tasks we check off each day. There's more to living than achieving. But the system, the world, keeps telling you that the only way to survive is to keep going, to keep proving yourself, to never rest. What if this isn't the way? What if rest isn't a luxury, but a necessity? What if stopping is not weakness, but strength? It may sound counterintuitive, but the key to breaking free from this cycle of exhaustion, this endless race, is learning to embrace the pause, to give yourself permission to do nothing, to rest without guilt, to stop for a moment and reconnect with who you are beneath all the expectations, beneath all the noise. The truth is, you don't have to keep running. You can stop. And when you do, you'll realize that the world won't fall apart. You'll realize that everything you've been chasing, everything you thought you had to do, can wait. And in that space, you'll find something you've been missing: peace. The moment you stop, you begin to heal. In our world today, it feels like the constant hum of productivity is embedded in the very air we breathe. It's not just a societal expectation, it has become an identity. You wake up, and before your feet even hit the ground, you're already evaluating what you need to do, what you've missed, and what's still left to accomplish. This never-ending list, constantly growing, constantly demanding more from you. becomes your reality? What happened to living in the moment? What happened to finding joy in the simplicity of existing without the weight of constant achievement? We've been conditioned to believe that being busy is synonymous with being valuable. The more you do, the more you're worth. But that belief doesn't just cause stress. It erodes your sense of self. You see, the trap isn't just in the tasks themselves. It's in the underlying belief that your worth is defined by your productivity. From the moment you wake up, you are told that you must be doing something, be it working, learning, achieving, or striving. Anything less is seen as lazy, unworthy, or even a failure. And the more you give in to this belief, the less space you create for yourself to simply exist. At first, it seems innocent. I'm just going to finish this one thing, you tell yourself. Once I get this done, I can relax. But that moment never comes. The one thing becomes two, then three. And before you know it, you're buried in a mountain of work, responsibilities, and expectations, all self-imposed. The harder you try to keep up, the further you seem to fall behind. This is the paradox of the performance-driven culture. The more you perform, the less you actually live. You begin to sacrifice moments of true connection, joy, and fulfillment for the sake of checking boxes. The irony is that the more you chase success, the less you feel successful. And the more you do, the less you are able to enjoy what you've done. It's not just the exhaustion of physical labor that wears you down, though. It's the psychological toll of believing that your value is determined by your output. Every task you complete doesn't feel like a victory, but like an obligation that never ends. Even when you succeed, it's fleeting. There's always another goal, always something else to achieve. The pressure to be constantly performing begins to chip away at your sense of self-worth. It's easy to get caught up in the cycle.
If this content is making sense to you, click the subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your support.
You're told that you're only as good as your next achievement, that there's always something more you can do. And this belief is powerful. It convinces you that rest is selfish, that taking a break means you're falling behind. But here's the truth. Rest is not the enemy of success. It's the opposite. In fact, it's the key to sustaining success. When you're constantly in motion, you burn out. Your body, your mind, your soul, none of them can keep up with a pace that doesn't allow space to breathe, to rest, to simply be. The truth is, performance without pause isn't progress, it's depletion. Imagine what might happen if you were to take a step back, if you chose to pause rather than rush forward. What if success wasn't about doing more, but about being able to do less and doing it with more intention? What if your worth wasn't tied to your ability to perform, but to your ability to be present, to connect, and to find peace in the stillness? In a world that celebrates constant motion, learning to embrace stillness is a revolutionary act. It's not about rejecting responsibility or avoiding work, but about finding balance. It's about acknowledging that your humanity doesn't lie in your output, but in your ability to rest and recharge. When you pause, you don't just catch your breath, you rediscover what it means to live, to exist, and to be whole. Imagine waking up tomorrow and doing nothing. The idea might make you uncomfortable, even guilty. But what if that discomfort is a reflection of how deeply we've internalized the narrative of constant doing? What if we've been misled into believing that our value is tied to our productivity, to our ability to perform, achieve, and hustle? We live in a world where doing is equated with being. To do is to exist. But is that true? Are we only worth something when we're constantly moving, achieving, and striving for the next goal? What happens when we stop, when we disconnect from the perpetual motion of life and simply allow ourselves to be? The truth is that we've become so used to running on the treadmill of life, doing one thing after another, checking off tasks, setting new goals, that the thought of stopping seems not only impossible, but unacceptable. But in our relentless pursuit of success, we've forgotten something essential. Rest is not the opposite of productivity. It is its counterpart. When you stop, you don't just cease to exist for a moment. You give yourself the opportunity to reconnect with your true self. You allow space for clarity, creativity, and insight to emerge. It's in the stillness that you find the energy to keep going, not by pushing harder, but by being more intentional in how you move forward. The pressure to be constantly on doesn't just affect your productivity, It erodes your health, your relationships, and your mental well-being. It feeds the cycle of burnout, leaving you more drained with each passing day. But when you learn to stop, when you give yourself permission to pause without guilt, you begin to reclaim your energy. You start to understand that true freedom doesn't come from doing more. It comes from being present with yourself in whatever moment you're in, without the pressure of always having to be more, do more, or accomplish more. The freedom in stopping lies in its ability to release you from the tyranny of expectations and allow you to connect with the world and yourself in a deeper, more authentic way. But stopping isn't as easy as it sounds. The world around us isn't designed for pausing. It's designed for constant movement. From the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed, we're bombarded by demands for our time, attention, and energy. And if we take a break, we're often made to feel like we're falling behind, like we're losing out on something important. The constant drive for more, the pressure to perform, becomes so ingrained in us that we don't even know how to stop. It takes a conscious effort to reclaim your ability to pause. It requires a shift in mindset, a willingness to step back and say, I am enough as I am, right now. And it's this willingness that leads to true freedom, the freedom to exist without having to prove anything to anyone, including yourself. True freedom doesn't lie in the accumulation of achievements or the endless pursuit of success. It lies in your ability to stop, to step away from the noise, and to be still. When you stop, you give yourself the space to breathe, to reflect, to reconnect. And it's in that space that you find the strength to move forward with purpose, clarity, and authenticity. In a society that values productivity above all else, the act of doing nothing, of simply being, has become revolutionary. We are told that every moment must be filled with activity, every second must have a purpose, and every action must lead to some kind of result. But what if stillness isn't a sign of weakness? What if it's a form of strength? Stillness is not about being idle or lazy. It's about creating space for reflection, introspection, and inner peace. It's about giving yourself permission to pause without guilt, to rest without fear of falling behind. It's the courage to step away from the demands of the world and return to yourself, to reconnect with your inner wisdom and authenticity. In stillness, we find clarity. We gain perspective on the things that matter most, and we begin to understand that life is not a race to the finish line. It's a journey to be experienced, moment by moment, without the pressure to always be moving forward. Stillness doesn't slow us down. It reorients us. It allows us to move forward with intention, with purpose, and with a deeper connection to who we are. The idea of embracing stillness might sound counterproductive in a world that prizes efficiency and constant motion. But the truth is, without stillness, we lose touch with our true selves. We become so caught up in doing that we forget to be. We forget to enjoy the simple pleasure of existing, of being present in the moment, of appreciating the beauty around us without the need to measure it, achieve it, or perform it. Stillness is not a luxury. It is a necessity for our well-being. Without it, we burn out, we disconnect, and we lose our sense of purpose. But when we embrace stillness, we reclaim our energy, our clarity, and our sense of self. We are able to live more fully, more authentically, and more peacefully. The strength of stillness lies in its ability to anchor us in the present moment, to remind us that we are enough, just as we are. In stillness, we find peace. In peace, we find power. And in power, we find freedom. So the next time the world tells you to keep moving, to keep achieving, to keep striving, remember that the greatest strength lies in your ability to stop, to breathe, and to simply be. When you do, you'll find that everything you've been searching for is already. By now, you may have realized something profound. The relentless pursuit of achievement doesn't just leave us exhausted, it leaves us empty. We have been conditioned to think that productivity, progress, and success are the ultimate goals, but at what cost? The pressure to perform, to measure up, and to constantly strive for more is not just physically draining, it erodes our very sense of self. But what if the true cost of this pressure isn't just burnout or exhaustion? What if the deepest pain is not from the work itself, but from the silence that follows the performance? The truth is that beneath the endless cycle of striving lies a deeper wound, one we try to avoid, one we try to fill with achievements, distractions, and constant movement. We've built entire lives around filling the emptiness with external accomplishments, but it's never enough. The emptiness comes back, always. And when we stop long enough to listen, we hear it more clearly than ever. The emptiness we feel isn't just a lack of things to do or goals to achieve. It's the absence of connection. Connection with others. Connection with ourselves. In the rush to perform and prove, we've disconnected from the very things that make us human. Our emotions, our needs, and our desires. The relentless push to succeed leaves little room for introspection, for understanding, or for true emotional expression. And so, we begin to fill this emptiness with something else. The need to achieve becomes a shield against vulnerability. The desire to do more becomes a way to avoid confronting the deeper, more difficult emotions that we've been conditioned to ignore. When we are always moving, always achieving, there's no time to feel the pain of self-doubt, fear, or loneliness. But ignoring this pain doesn't make it go away. It festers beneath the surface, growing stronger every day. The more we try to outrun it, the more it consumes us. And eventually, we realize that no amount of success or achievement will ever fill the hole inside us. Only by facing the pain can we begin to heal it. The pain beneath the performance is not a weakness. It is a signal. It is the body, the mind, and the soul crying out for attention. It's the part of us that longs to be seen, heard, and understood. But instead of addressing it, we bury it under layers of productivity and achievement, hoping that the next goal will somehow make it disappear. But no external success can heal internal wounds. The only way to truly heal is to confront the pain, to sit with it, to feel it, and to acknowledge it. When we stop running and start being, we allow ourselves to experience our full range of emotions, the joy, the sadness, the fear, the excitement. And it is in this process of emotional reckoning that we begin to rebuild ourselves, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. When you stop the cycle. You take a breath, and for the first time in a long while, you are present. And in that moment of stillness, you reclaim a part of yourself that has been lost, your power. You see, the real power isn't in constantly doing, achieving, or performing. It's in your ability to simply be, to reclaim your time, your energy, and your life. To say, I am enough as I am, without any need to prove myself. The truth is, you've always had this power. It's been within you all along, but it got buried under layers of external expectations and self-imposed demands. Reclaiming your power means letting go of the fear that drives you to perform at all costs. It means rejecting the idea that your worth is tied to what you can do, what you can achieve, or how much you can accomplish. It's about finding your value in simply existing, in being present with yourself and with the world around you. This power comes from the recognition that you are not defined by your productivity. You are defined by your humanity, your ability to feel, to think, to love, to connect. These are the things that make you whole. And when you allow yourself the space to stop, to breathe, and to reconnect, you rediscover that power. It's easy to get lost in the idea that you must always be doing. The world tells you that success is measured by your accomplishments, that worth is determined by how much you can produce. But the truth is, the more you chase this external validation, the more you lose sight of who you really are. And the more you lose yourself, the more you feel drained, disconnected, and empty. Reclaiming your power means putting yourself back in control. It means no longer allowing the demands of society, work, or others to dictate your worth. It means setting boundaries, saying no, and giving yourself permission to rest. It means choosing yourself, not as a performer or achiever, but as a human being who deserves love, care, and rest. When you reclaim your power, you no longer feel the need to prove anything to anyone. You no longer feel the pressure to constantly perform or be better. You are enough, just as you are. And in that realization, you find the strength to move forward with clarity, purpose, and authenticity. Healing begins the moment you stop, the moment you choose to pause, to rest, to breathe. You begin the process of healing. But this isn't a quick fix. Healing isn't about simply taking a break or checking out for a while. It's a deep, ongoing process. A journey that involves facing the pain beneath the performance, the wounds you've been carrying for so long. The healing process isn't linear. It doesn't happen all at once, and it certainly doesn't happen because you simply choose to rest. It happens when you stop avoiding the difficult emotions, When you allow yourself to feel the pain, the sorrow, the fear, and the joy. It happens when you stop running from yourself and start showing up fully as you are. But the first step is the hardest one: stopping. In a world that glorifies productivity and movement, stopping feels like giving up, but it's not. Stopping is the beginning of self-care. It's the moment you decide that your well-being matters more than the expectations placed on you. It's when you choose to listen to your inner voice instead of the constant noise of external demands. And as you embrace this stillness, as you begin to heal the wounds, you will find that the pressure to perform, to be perfect, to constantly prove yourself, begins to lose its grip. It will no longer control you. The more you allow yourself to heal, the more you reconnect with the parts of yourself that have been lost in the hustle. The process of healing isn't easy, and it's not quick, but it's worth it. Because when you heal, you reclaim your true self. Not the self defined by what you do, but the self defined by who you are. In the final stage of this journey, we come face to face with a profound truth. Who we are has always been enough. Yet, for so long, we have been trapped in a cycle of doing, achieving, and proving. We've become so consumed by external expectations that we lost sight of our internal truth. But now, as we slow down, as we pause, we begin to rediscover who we truly are beneath all the layers of performance, ambition, and societal pressures. The process of healing is not just about stopping the cycle of busyness or checking things off a to-do list. It's about reconnecting with the parts of yourself that have been neglected, the parts of you that don't need to perform to be worthy, the parts that are simply enough as they are. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to achieve anything. Your inherent worth is already there. This is the moment of true liberation. True freedom is not found in endless accomplishment or in meeting every expectation set for you. It's found in recognizing that you are valuable without having to do anything to justify that worth. The external noise begins to fade as you realize that the most important thing in your life is not what you can produce, but who you are at your core. Healing happens when you embrace this truth. You begin to release the self-imposed pressure to always be doing something. You accept that your value doesn't lie in your ability to perform. It's about being present, being authentic, and being fully human, with all your imperfections and complexities. Only when you stop chasing external validation do you begin to truly experience life. In this stillness you find clarity, you find peace, you find joy. It's easy to think that to be significant, you must achieve something monumental, something that others will recognize and celebrate. But in the quiet moments, you will come to understand that the deepest form of significance lies in living truthfully, in acknowledging and accepting yourself fully, without the need for external affirmation. This process of embracing your true self is not a destination. It's a journey that will continue for the rest of your life. There will be moments when the world tries to pull you back into its cycle of endless striving. But with each pause, with each moment of stillness, you'll grow stronger in your ability to reject the pressures of the outside world and reconnect with your inner truth. There's an art to being present. It's not a skill you're taught in school, nor something that's often encouraged in the modern world. We live in a society that values achievement over existence, doing over being. But the art of being present is the foundation for everything else. It is the key to finding peace, clarity, and meaning in a world that constantly asks you to do more and be more. Being present means being fully engaged in the moment you are in, without the weight of the past or the anxiety of the future clouding your mind. It means embracing the current moment as it is, without needing to change anything. The key is to stop fighting the present. The key is to accept it as it is and to find the beauty in the now. For many, this concept may seem foreign. We've been conditioned to think that to be valuable, we must always be striving for something better, something more. But true presence is found when we stop trying to perfect ourselves and simply exist. When we stop running from our feelings, when we stop avoiding discomfort, and when we stop measuring ourselves by what we can achieve, we find peace in simply being. This is where true strength lies, not in your ability to perform or meet the expectations of others, but in your ability to be present, to accept yourself, and to experience life as it is, without the need to chase after something better. In the stillness of the present moment, we find our true selves, and in finding our true selves, we reclaim our freedom. the freedom not to do more, but to simply be. The path to inner peace is not found through constant doing, achieving, or performing. It is found through acceptance. Acceptance of who you are, and where you've been. Acceptance of your flaws, your struggles, and your imperfections. The moment you stop striving for perfection, the moment you let go of the need to prove yourself to others, you begin to experience the profound peace that comes from within. Inner peace is not a destination. It's a state of being, a way of life. It's something you cultivate by learning to live in alignment with your true self, rather than the false identities and roles that society expects you to play. It's a process of continuous surrender, of letting go of the need for external validation, and of trusting that you are enough just as you are. The world may never stop demanding more from you. It will always ask you to do more, achieve more, and be more. But the true challenge, the true freedom, is in deciding that you don't have to comply. You don't have to be everything to everyone. You don't have to prove anything. Inner peace comes from embracing the reality that you are enough, that your worth is not tied to your productivity or your success, but to your inherent humanity. When you embrace this truth, you step onto the path of true peace. In this journey, there will be moments of struggle. There will be times when the pressure to perform feels overwhelming. But in those moments, remember, you are not your accomplishments. You are not your work. You are not your productivity. You are you. And that is enough. As we conclude this journey together, it's important to reflect on one final truth. The power lies in stopping. The ability to step away from the constant noise, to stop the cycle of overachievement, and to simply be present in the moment is the most radical act of self-care and self-empowerment. In a world that constantly asks more of us, the act of stopping is not a weakness. It is a strength. It is the strength to reclaim your own life, to live on your own terms, and to experience the true freedom that comes from being present with yourself and the world around you. True success is not measured by what you achieve, but by your ability to stop, to pause, and to reconnect with what truly matters. In this stillness, you will find everything you've been seeking: peace, clarity, and the ability to live a life that is truly yours.